सही है। Good afternoon, Jitendra Kumar.
Sir, good
How are
afternoon.
you?
Fine, sir.
Fine.
Fine, sir.
और कैसे चल रहा है क्लास?
Sir, class is going very good, sir. We are
Very
taking
good.
advantage of this. So during lockdown, I have started some few courses also. So I have done NLP.
You told last time.
So
NLP खत्म हो गया?
खत्म हो गया, sir. I have got certificated from NLP Master Practitioner.
अभी हमने NLP पर एक लेक्चर भी ऑर्गेनाइज कराया था, आप आए नहीं उस दिन?
Yes, sir, था. I was there.
कल ना?
I was there, sir.
कार्तिक सर का?
नहीं, संडे था।
Last Sunday was there. So I was there, sir. So I got the, क्योंकि मेरे पास ना सर 2 मैसेज आते हैं, एक ISCD दिल्ली चैप्टर से, एक ISCD नोएडा चैप्टर से. So नोएडा चैप्टर वाला लिंक I have used and I just attended that session.
I attended yesterday. कार्तिक सर.
You attended Meena
yesterday session. हाँ
Yes,
सर,
sir.
yesterday NLP session I attended.
अच्छा ओके, अलग वो श्योर चैप्टर का होगा मोस्टली, बट आई मीन वी ऑर्गेनाइज दिस संडे लास्ट टाइम.
Last Sunday, sir.
Correct. And I'm not sure if Meena or Shrutika got those messages. Shrutika, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are things?
Sir, not well.
Not well. What happened?
Having fever from last week.
Corona attack?
Yes, sir.
Not sure. Have you got it tested?
Yes, sir. But report are not still came. It's saying कि after 2 days only I will get the reports.
Okay. I think we are having a tough, basically pandemic effect.
Get well soon, madam.
Reports are coming late, but don't worry, all will be okay. Be positive only is the therapy, and take medicine and precautions. That's it, the therapy.
Thank
I
you.
think, are we taking this Baba Ramdev Coronil? Because that medicine is protecting you for basically. It
Yes,
becomes,
sir. I'm taking all kinds of medicine right now.
Steam inhalation.
And that is okay. And one is the lemon thing also is becoming very famous.
Vitamin C.
Just
So lukewarm water with lemon and honey.
no. Just put 2-3 drops of lemon juice in your nose, nostril.
Nice.
Okay.
Morning and evening. And you keep it for some time, 1 minute or something, and then you can do gargle with the hot water. So that also reduce the load up to some extent. Otherwise, viral load is very tough. It goes, spiral. Right?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So take care and hope you recover well and fast. Rupesh,
Sure,
how
sir.
are things?
Not good, sir.
You're well?
I am well, but not feeling good today.
Not feeling good.
I don't know why, but actually last week, just this day before yesterday, I have lost my cousin, and just 2 days back, my cousin sister and cousin brother, 2 deaths in the family. So full family, both were at Varanasi.
Okay.
Corona has, don't know.
I know it's a very tough time, and we all have to be really very strong and vigilant, basically to face the challenges ongoing. Right? So these are tough time. Anand Chaudhary, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are things?
Things are fine here, but I'm hearing a lot on news, and a lot of bad news is coming from around. So a little worried.
Okay. Right. This is the time we can have some positive frame of mind and
Yes,
try
yes,
to listen few of the positive things and focus on our safe side, taking care of ourselves.
yes.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
This is the paper 7 we have now, starting at 2 o'clock. We'll continue till 3:30. Training, measurement, and evaluation. Right.
Right, sir.
So, if you have any question, queries on this training evaluation. Anybody has any question?
No, sir.
So I will follow the similar procedure which I did earlier. I have my PowerPoint, right? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Right. So I'll just use this PowerPoint and show the PPT. Myself, Wing Commander KK Verma, and I am the host and instructor for this paper 7, and this is the 4th class. So 3 classes are already over, and this is the 4th one, right?
Right, sir.
And we'll follow the same process, like overview of the last class, so that we can recap things, and then we'll go ahead with the today's objective, and the topic is mainly tools and methods for evaluation. And evaluation is a very basically common phenomena. You see, anything you do in life, you must be focused on evaluating on a day-to-day basis per se. But as a trainer, if you have to evaluate, it becomes really very tough, and you have to find some ways and means and methods by which you can evaluate the training process, complete training system. And that is what I think we are trying to study in this particular paper. As far as the paper is concerned, you see the paper 1 to paper 8, and then subsequently the paper 9, if you all see, all have been divided very systematically so that you can understand the training perspective very nicely. And it is not, any training we talk about, it is not the one aspect of the training we have to focus on. Rather, we have to focus on different aspects of training. And this evaluation is a very important aspect of training. And if you see the course curriculum, as I have been showing you again and again, it talks about simple, one paragraph and less than a page, you see, that covers the course curriculum. But that is what we need to discuss. And we need to discuss in detail to find out how we can have the effective evaluation in our system, in the whole training process. And today topic is basically from this, what you can see from the red, red words, it is written methods and approaches to undertaking systematic evaluation. And today we'll be discussing about these methods and tools and instruments, right? Tools and methods for evaluation. We started from stakeholders of training. Then we studied about evaluation strategies, and then we went for the theories and model of evaluation. You have seen how we have done it. And today we are talking about tools and methods for evaluation. But just to overview, you remember evaluation strategy we discussed last time? and we discussed about the 4 different evaluation strategies. You remember?
Yes, sir.
Starting from longitudinal design, ex past factor design, comparative survey design, and matched group design. And then we came to basically to see the stages of evaluation: pre-training, ongoing, and end-term evaluation. So in these 3 stages, any training process or system, we need to evaluate. First pre-training, and then ongoing, and then end-term evaluation. And that's the way we need to do. As far as the assignment questions are concerned, I'm not sure. I mean, have you seen your assignment questions which have already been uploaded?
Yes, sir.
Right. If you try to give answers for that assignment question, you will see as far as the evaluation, measurement and evaluation are concerned. I mean, generally we ask very practical thing, how in different stages of evaluation you can do the training evaluation nicely. And that is what is the question. You remember somebody has seen the question?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I've seen.
Yes, sir. Let's see.
So can somebody repeat what are the first question you have?
For the third paper, no, sir?
Paper 7.
Paper 7, no?
Third paper, yes. Third
Yes,
paper
yes.
for the second semester.
Yes, sir. I'm just telling you. Because I have started to work on that. So I'm just telling that, sir. Opening the page.
It's better
So-
to work in advance.
So yes, training, measurement, and evaluation. The
Correct.
question one is, in your organization, they would have conducted a training program for the new joining middle level managers to evaluate the outcome of the training conducted. Which model of evaluation was being used? Elaborate this in detail, covering all 3 stages.
So in this, if you see, you are required to mention these stages of evaluation. And what are those stages of evaluation? Sudeep?
Yes, sir.
What are the stages of evaluation?
Pre-training evaluation, during the training evaluation, and end of
Post.
training evaluation.
And post-training evaluation.
End
Post-training.
term or post term. You see,
Post-term.
it is written in the slide as well.
Yes, sir.
If you see, it is written in the slide: pre-training
Yeah.
evaluation, ongoing, and end term evaluation. So it's in these 3 stages, you have to work on some theories. So what are the theories and model of evaluation? It's given in the slide.
Yeah. Kirkpatrick, Kaufman, Cairo, and Phillips.
Patrick, Kaufman, Zero, and Philip. Last time, if you remember, I told you about the 4 factors and 5 factors.
Yeah.
We talked about
Yeah.
4 factors for Zero and then 5 factors for Phillips.
Phillips.
And that is the way we dealt with these theories and model. And then finally, we calculated the ROI. ROI is also very important, and that also we must understand, because that is the way we can make our training very effective. So one is we must understand theories and model of evaluation, whether it is Kirkpatrick, Kaufman, Zero, or Phillips, right? And then we must focus on ROI. And in ROI, we discussed about CBR, cost benefit ratio, that is program benefits divided by program costs, and then ROI is calculated with net program benefits divided by program costs into 100. And this net program benefits is nothing but the program benefits minus program cost. The total program benefits minus what are the costs involved. As far as the cost involved are concerned, you see, it is still easier to calculate. But when we have to talk about the program benefit, that is the either in a material terms, in a benefit, or in personal advantage, this becomes really tricky, and that is where all trainer must focus on, and that is what I think today the portion which I'm going to cover will basically give you the tool. But to understand the tool, it is very important to understand the steps what we need to take one by one. So after going through this, now we will start with today's objective, and that is the tools and methods. And in this first thing, we will try to touch upon the evaluation instruments. So what are the evaluation instruments? So these are the, these are basically the, you see the 6 instruments which have been listed in your book, and that is what I have noted it here. However, you see in practice, when you do this evaluation instrument, you can add or delete. You can add depending upon your situations separately, and you can form another methods, and that is what I think every time you should try to do it. So if we talk about the in general what we use, starting from questionnaire, survey, then interview, then we undertake test, written or performance based, then we can use the focus group for evaluation, or we can use the observation of participants whoever are attending, and then we can have the performance records. Performance records basically come from this. But in addition to, there are 2-3 things by which we can evaluate our training processes. And you see, and that is where we must try to, focus on things. Some noise is coming, na?
Yes, sir.
Somebody's mic is on.
I will just mute others, and whoever wants to speak, they can unmute
Yes, sir,
and
yes, sir.
speak, right?
Yes, sir, yes. Yes, sir.
So these are the type of evaluation instruments. So the first, questionnaire and survey. The questionnaire and survey is a very common basically. Questionnaire could be of any type you can think of, but few of the type basically listed could be like open-ended, checklist, two-way communication questionnaire, multiple choice, and ranking scales. And this ranking scales, if you see, what we even in our feedback, sometime we use this for any particular uh, characteristic or factors. We try to rank how good it is, how intelligent it is, how the content was good, and this is the way we try to do it. But in addition to this, in present circumstances, because as I always say, because things are changing very fast, even in questionnaire or survey, when you, try to study in your this perspective, you will find there are a lot of things what we can present in present circumstances we can do. So invariably you will find that we needs to add Okay. So when we talk about questionnaire, these are the 5 different type of questions could be used. And when we think of survey, is basically large scale data collection. And for a some significant amount of period, we try to collect data and then try to find the training evaluation, right? So that is the way we try to do it. Second way could be interview. Now, when we talk about interview, that also you see, it's very important methods of evaluation, and it helps in basically the receiving the feedback directly from the participants. So that can be used, but it is generally popular with, if suppose you have a less time and people are not very comfortable in giving the test. So that is what is talked about. Its advantages are like flexibility, clarification opportunity, and personal contact. So that can help basically to get the feedback through interview. However, it is necessary that we need to develop an interview guide. And when we talk about, suppose we discussed about the questionnaire, we discussed about now interview guide. Can anybody suggest what are the basically the guide principles should be, like interview guide? When we want to develop interview guide, what should be the criteria? I mean, what the main, basically we should try to get input from the participants through interview. What should be the guide? Rupesh?
Yes, sir.
Can you suggest some methods need to develop an interview guide? One, what I can, Rupesh, I think you agree, one thing we should be clear, we must try to put the question related to what the training
Yeah.
have undergone. Am I right? It must be within what kind of training is going
Yes,
on.
sir.
And then suppose any training have objectives, that is what we have learned about it. So it must be about whether the training have
Definitely.
have been able to achieve objectives. No?
Yes, sir.
And then one more thing, that is the generally outcome. Because every training is supposed to basically solve some problems. Right? Do you agree with me? So when
Right,
we are talking about evaluation,
Yes, yes.
we must be clear about whether we have been able to achieve the outcome. Right? So these are the points we need to Rupesh, are you able to see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these are the things we need to have in the guide. But in general, you try to see when we discuss about the evaluation, when we discuss about the training, it is very important that we focus on the content and the process of the training so that we can find out whether we have been able to achieve the objectives or achieve the outcome, right?
Yes.
So those things are more important. So even suppose questionnaire in the previous slide, like I showed questionnaire, if you see, so it's nothing whether we set the questionnaire like open-ended, checklist, two-way, multiple choice. The main objective should be in all three stages of evaluation. It should be able to give some parameter or data for the aspects of training, right? So suppose even before training, we want to suppose undertake this kind of evaluation, either it is questionnaire or interview. So we must ask about what are the present understanding of the individual or participants. What are the organizational aim, outcome ultimately they want to achieve? And if we are able to match that and we are able to give some value to that, that will help us to evaluate things better. Invariably, what happens, we are unable to do these kind of evaluation. But as a trainer, it becomes very important when we undertake these training, we make a training program and we conduct a training program, we must see whether it has given the results, whether it has been able to achieve the objectives, and whether it has been able to give you the end results. Right? And in interview, it is also written, it is popular with the lower level workers, comfortable with vernacular language. So that is basically one aspect. I'm not sure how many of you agree with this, but even at the senior level, to understand the insights, even at the senior level, to understand the insights, it is very important we make a question, something like this, and use this objective, this method of interview to evaluate the training programs. You agree?
Yes, sir.
And you must be, doing through different methods, like either we make a interview question, interview guide, what at the end it is written. So it can help you to basically get insight about your training aspects, right? And then comes test. Test is also a very important method. And invariably, I think most of you, when conduct a training program or plan a training program, the test becomes an integral aspect of the whole training process. Whether a test is used for pre-course or post-course, we conduct a test, and test is basically, it could be like written test or performance test, where we in written test we try to test the knowledge of the people, and in performance test we try to test the skills of the people. So in the case of written test knowledge, and knowledge is just one thing. If you see, the test knowledge comes, it could be like information, knowledge, content, different kind of narratives. So all those should be the part of the written test. But when we talk about the performance test, it must test different skills. And in different skills, when it comes, I mean, we all know the different kind of skills, what we can use in the organization or in any field, that we must focus on. And skills could be like, even suppose we conduct, how we remain motivated, what are our attitude towards it, do we create some value out of our work. So all those things need to be taken care of. So can somebody say what are the useful part of test? Basically, it helps in understanding two aspects, right?
Yes, sir. One is the learning, what we have, learning outcomes.
Learning outcomes.
So it are helpful in figuring out how much, what is the level of understanding, if there are any gaps between what has been taught and what has been absorbed. So if there's a gap in that,
Correct.
yeah, and if there are any gaps, then in the future they can be accommodated, and the design can be developed in such a way so that those gaps are taken care of.
So you see, you are basically adding the both. Like
Pre and post.
second point, it is written, help modifying content for future courses. You see, one thing, any training program we conduct, first it must measure the learning outcomes, whether it has been able to give you the required learning. Am I correct?
Yes.
Because that is also not very simple thing. Basically, learning outcome, it doesn't come simply. Like whether you talk about information, you talk about knowledge, you talk about wisdom. So these learning also does not come simply. So when you have a training program process, like you have the content, you have the syllabus, you have the training program for a 1 day, 2 day, or 1 week time. So how much you have learned things, right?
Sir, that is also based upon the how effective is the transfer of learning. So on that basis, that can be modify the content for the future courses. The second one, and learning outcome definitely based on the how effective is the transfer of learning.
Correct. So whether the transfer of learning has taken place.
Yeah.
So test, when you conduct a test, either written test or performance test, basically, so it talks about the main aspect, whether you have been learning have taken place, right?
Right. Because it is easy to test the knowledge and skill. I mean, three areas: knowledge, skill, and attitude. So knowledge and skill we can test immediately after post training. So transfer of learning can be measured immediately, especially for knowledge and skills.
Okay. So it all depends upon also the course content and then
Yes, sir.
its explanations,
Yes, sir.
basically.
100%.
Whether
Right.
it has been able to, I mean, people have understood things.
Yes.
Because at senior level, if you see, when we talk about, there has to be a clear understanding of the things. It's not
Right.
just the mathematics, like junior level mathematics, when you do just plus and minus, and then you get a data. Learning and training, when at senior level you do it in corporate training, I mean, you have to understand where the person was basically, and what was he expected to deliver. So that learning whether have taken place, and that is what is very important. So in all these aspects, when we even plan suppose test, we must make sure that it tests the complete learning process and learning or how the learning have taken place, right?
Right.
And then this test can also help in modifying the content for future courses. So if you see, when we see the suppose the learning, or when we conduct a test, we try to get a feedback on that aspect as well, how we can change the content so that the learning becomes better. So that also must be given due attention and care, right? Then comes the focus group, right? So focus group is basically the same, whoever are involved in the training, all stakeholders, and we can have the we can make a group and discuss about things and try to take the feedback from each other, and this helps basically to in-depth feedback, but it requires experienced facilitator for evaluation. But when the group is formed, and we have suppose few people, 2-3 people, and discussing on the training aspects, then there is a certain amount of motivation level also is generated, and that generates new ideas as well, right? So in this, you must have heard about even the group discussion and other aspects also are taken care. And that's how most of the organization you see, they have the training department separately. All those people live in that one hostel or nearby, conduct trainings are conducted, and then as well as the demonstration and other things are conducted on the, so that the people are together. And then for evaluation, if we want, so that focus group is basically the form, and they give feedback to each other, and they try to find out what are the training basically have taken place and how important it is, right? And when the peer group sits, they may generate some new ideas also, and they may generate new ideas from their own experience, and then try to find out how it has helped them to come out with the more better learning process, right? And this group formation could be very inexpensive.
So focus groups could include subject matter experts as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this experienced facilitator should be like the subject matter experts.
Okay, sir.
This
Thank you.
facilitator could be the subject matter experts, as well as we can have one or two facilitators, basically, depending upon the kind of group we want to we form. Right? And you see, the biggest thing in learning is motivation. And motivation is very difficult to basically get. But when this group thing is worked, when we form a group and try to have certain kind of discussion, we always find a lot of curiosities are generated, and then people are able to share their ideas, and then it can help to get a better feedback. Right? Shrutika Singh. Shall we move ahead? Move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, out of 6 different instrument, what we discussed in the initial slide, this is the last one we would like to discuss, and this is the observation of participants. And observation of participants are very important, basically, because for any training evaluation, I mean, personally, you have to basically observe the participants. And observation could be like different. It could be like training supervisor, fellow trainee, or training staff. This observation can be by anyone. But one thing is important: when we put observer, and avoiding trainees become conscious. You see, if observers are not disclosed, it makes the method more effective. But that is what is written. But I think some of you may have a different opinion. Even observers, suppose observers are there and we know the observer is from, suppose, trainee supervisor or fellow trainees or training staff, that also can help us to give a better feedback. Meena Karmakar, have you used any of such kind of evaluation in your training program?
So yes, in when we do financial market sessions, before that we check the knowledge of the participants first. We give some questionnaire to them, and once the session done, then we check after that what they learned actually from my sessions.
Okay. So no, keeping the observer.
Acha, keeping the observer, if I say ki yes.
Have you worked on this? Like suppose when you conduct a training program, do you have 1 or 2, 3 observers also who are basically either monitoring the complete training process or
Yes.
monitoring the participants?
Yes, we in some of the sessions, our seniors came and see what we are, how we are doing the sessions, and what are the participant learners they are learning about how we are delivering the sessions. Do we use all the things in a proper way or not? The delivery is the important part, and the learning part from the learner side, how it comes. So they
Right.
take some we don't no, before that when the physical training to बहुत कम होता था, but now in virtual participant sessions it is happening more now. So we all use whatever the sessions we are doing, we share with our seniors also that links, as and when they get time they come and be there on our session for half an hour or an hour, And after the session, they gave us some observations to us. There's these things which you can do to make your sessions more interactive and better. So yes,
Right.
we are measuring. Even once in a year, we get measurement sessions also. From
Okay.
last 3 years, we have a concept for trainers. Each trainer ke liye, every trainer has to go through with that observer sessions. We need to deliver on a regional managers in front of regional manager. They give us topic and we deliver the session. Once clear the regional managers evaluation, then you need to clear the zonal manager evaluation. Once you complete the zonal evaluations, then you are able to complete one course for that
Acha,
company
here-
members.
Nahi, here,
It's
Veena,
a
this
long
one
process.
I mean, you are talking about the trainer's observation basically.
Correct.
What I think we are trying to discuss here, the evaluation, training process, training aspects. And
Training aspects also get
Yeah.
assessed by.
So, I mean, can Arpita, I think, when we talk about,
Hello?
Shrutika, can you tell us about
Sir, Sonakshi here. Hello.
Sonakshi? Okay. So can you tell us about if suppose fellow trainees are kept
Sir,
as an observer? Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we planned induction sessions for these new joiners. So in what we do basically is that one senior mentor and two of our fellow trainers are always in the connect or the induction session. So while we are training or hosting the joiners, they observe the entire meeting, the participants and the trainers. And at the end of the
Okay.
session, we get a feedback for the participant and the trainers, both sides, that, there was a communication gap or understanding with the participants. And for the trainers also, we get a feedback that where there was a lacking or what was good or what was bad, like pros and cons both.
Okay. And one of the most important part of this observation of participants, basically in the training process, the last point which is written, measuring behavior changes is possible. I mean, can somebody discuss about this behavior changes? How could it be possible, and what are the implications? I mean, how we understand there is a behavior change which are taking place by this observation?
So sorry,
Anand?
Sonakshi again. So
Yes, go ahead.
So like I gave the example of election session, what we noticed as a behavior change in participants is where it's been more than 1 year in the virtual environment. So initially when this session used to be inducted, participants were a little more enthused about it or into it. Now what happens is when they're joining, the energy levels are a little down. So as trainers or our senior mentors, what we try to do is add a little motivation. So this is a behavior trend that we have noticed in the last 1 year, that the enthusiasm or the energy to participate or be in these trainings or induction has reduced a little bit. It's just done for the sake of formality more.
Okay. So it doesn't serve the purpose for behavior changes, or it helps? You see, the main problem, I think, some
It helps.
of you will agree. We discussed about, suppose, questionnaire, we discussed about the test, we discussed about interviews. But during the training, suppose when you put observation, I mean, that may be the time it helps you to understand the behavior changes, what taking place during the training program. Agree?
Sir, Anant here.
Anant here, yes.
So what we do is we send out a feedback form to the managers of the people who have attended training instantly after the training. And then
After training, okay.
and then we send out another feedback form to the managers after a gap of 1 month. So usually what we have seen is the initial reaction of the managers that when they observe their employees who have attended the training, the initial reaction is good because the people who have attended the training, they have their enthusiasm level high right after the training. But what we are talking about, that measuring the behavior changes, that entire picture is clear after that 1 month. We take again the feedback from the managers, because for the employees it is tough to maintain that enthusiasm, or it is tough to retain the knowledge that they have attained in the training. And then we get to know the real picture, how much retention is there and what needs to be updated in the training content, and if there is any retraining required for the employees. So that 1 month gap gives us a lot of clarity in terms of behavioral changes that we were expecting in the employees.
Right. So that what I think you are talking about, the post training evaluation, and generally, I mean, what we have already discussed also, either it is done after a month. Even the Kirkpatrick model, if you see the model of evaluation, where we discussed about the fourth factor called results, and to evaluate that results of the training program, either after 1 month or 6 months. Basically, when we try to evaluate that after 1 month training program or 6 months training program, we generally try to calculate or find out how the performance have been basically of the participants. Anand, agree?
Right, sir, right.
Right. But presently we are discussing about basically the behavior changes during the training program. This observation of participants method, what we take, I mean, this also can be done, I mean, in all three phases, like before training, during during training, and after training, right? But I mean, basically, if you see the observation, either even after 1 month or 6 months, if you observe somebody, how sincere the person is about the job, what they perform, how good, or basically the team he try to form it, and how meticulously he is disciplined, he is focused. So all those things can be measured actually, and that is what becomes very important when we do observation of participants. Is it making sense?
Sir, I want to, yeah, I had a query.
Uh-huh. Yes,
Sir,
yes.
do we consider behavior here like if we have a session going on and for example the trainer or the content is very lengthy, or they go over explaining things, and we are able to notice, maybe the observer is able to notice that the participants are getting disinterested, so can we count that kind of a scenario in this point as well?
Yeah, that also could be the part of, but presently we are talking about how to observe the participants' behavior. And now subsequently, what I am going to basically touch upon, when we talk about behavior, it comes about the attitude and values. Invariably, in most of the training program, somewhere we miss those serious aspects of training. Because myself as a trainer at a very high level, basically, and when you start focusing on technical training or skill training or knowledge training, that is the one aspect. But then behavior aspects become very important, and that is what is the today's when we are studying in this fourth class, training, measurement, and evaluation. I think that tough thing, I think we are trying to sort it out. So that's how it is. It all started from either even questionnaire thing, or we talked about interview aspects. We are trying to touch upon how the learning can be really evaluated. Learning can be really evaluated, right?
Right, sir.
So we will see subsequently when it comes the training and values, and we'll try to find out basically how we can calculate those data, which helps us basically to find out the better result in the long term. You see, otherwise, what happens? In long term, the result is getting result is very difficult, because participants, whoever suppose undergo training, if suppose they are not serious in learning good things, they are not serious in learning what is needed, they are not serious in learning what is current, then it becomes very difficult basically, because things are changing so fast, and unless the people are very familiar with these changes, it is not very easy to adjust with the new environment, right? So after studying about these instruments, what we read for evaluation, now if we discuss about the evaluation data, I mean, in your book, they are talking about the Jack J. Phillip, 3 types of data, and Nick Blanchard gave 4 types of evaluation data. So they are talking about those different kind of data which can be used by you all, or as a trainer, you can use one of these data, either from individual performance, system-wide performance, economic data. And similarly, in the Nick Blanchard gave 4 types of evaluation data. That is also the process data, outcome data, job behavior data, and organizational result data. So these kind of data you can collect either through any processes you undertake, right? And then you can evaluate and tabulate and then find out your different opinions. But in present circumstances, when suppose the classes are going online and people are not very, I mean, even in organization, the contacts are very less. So in these, basically the evaluation data also should change. So that is what we need to basically adapt to the new environment, and that is what we need to do. Okay. So the difficult part, as I have been telling, is about methods for measurements of attitude and values. So this attitudes and values measurement becomes literally very difficult. I'm not very sure, I mean, whether you in your training program have included this, but it will be nice to listen if somebody has basically covered the measurement of these attitude and values in whatever aspect you have undertaken. Anyone? Rupesh? You can also switch on your video also if you want. So I just, I mean, you have been undertaking a lot of training. My point is, have we focused on sometime about measurement of attitudes and values in the training program?
But directly, I have not seen for attitude, sir, because it is a most difficult part of the evaluation actually.
Absolutely correct.
So,
Rupesh,
so
you are right. That is what I was trying to focus on.
Because-
When you want to basically find the ROI of the training aspect,
Yes.
like monetary benefit or outcome or organizational this audit report, you can calculate. But how will you calculate the organizational values? How will you calculate the attitude of the employees? And that determines basically the success of any organization at present. And in that, I mean, few of the modern attitude also comes in the picture, like creativity, innovation, flexibility, and all those things.
It can be measured on the basis of CSAT survey, sir, customer satisfaction survey, organizational point of view. If we see on that basis, we can measure the attitude, but it would be, I mean, very long term. I mean, it's not a short term thing. So, customer service satisfaction survey may be the most effective to reflect the attitude of the employees of the organization.
So that again comes in the outcome, basically, results up to some
Right.
extent. The profit
Right.
of the organization.
Right. It's a outcome. Definitely, it's a outcome.
Outcome. So I think today we'll, in next 15-20 minutes, whatever we have at the moment, we'll try to find out what are the attitude and values.
वो तुम्हारा सिक्योरिटी खुद ही आके देगा वो
Hello.
8वां बार के लिए आए थे और मैंने कहा आप ले लो
Whose audio is on? Sudeep Jaiswal.
Yes, sir. My audio is on, but the noise is not from my side.
No problem. Only 2 people audio was on, so
Yeah.
I took your name.
No problem, sir.
So
Sir, actually, I wanted to share
You
my.
you keep conducting training program, and that too online.
Yes, sir.
Could you throw some light? How will you basically measure attitude and values of the participants or even the group or organization?
Sir, I have not dealt with such this aspect during the this online the lockdown phase, but the
Okay.
prior experience I have for one of the organizations, I was conducting their value workshops.
Value.
Yeah, value workshop.
Okay.
So they were rolling out the organizational value span organization. So I was conducting those workshops. Now it was very easy for me for that organization because it was a part of their PMS, performance management system, where the values were linked to the demonstrable action points by the employees, and it was observed by the managers, and it was noted down during their PMS. So what I did was plotted their score on account of values over a period of time. So it was a 3-year project. So 3 years I plotted their entire result and how the rollout of this value workshop, how it impacted their behavior, which they demonstrated while they were performing their duties.
So it's something like the last point, what is written, to pick 5 values and ask where to move in next 6 months with some
Yeah.
more values.
Yeah.
So create the values basically, or create the attitude and values.
And
then
how they are implementing, how they are demonstrating while they are, in their day-to-day work life.
in their day-to-day activities.
Yeah. So
Right.
that was plotted by their respective managers, and it was a part of their performance management system. So getting the data was very easy for me. Normally, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
Okay. Because most of the organizations' values are there, but it has not been linked to their PMS. So plotting becomes difficult, but for this particular organization, it was very easy for them.
Okay. So I think you will help us to find out what are these attitudes and values. Basically, we'll discuss in something like, suppose when we discuss about the two contradictory views, I've just jotted down so many, but I think we'll discuss one or two from my point of view, which should serve the purpose basically. And if you agree, I will take up the second point. China used COVID-19 virus as a biological weapon. Is this a contradictory views? Because then you may have a different viewpoints.
Yeah, ideologically, I mean,
China used COVID-19 virus as biological weapon.
I agree.
Second point. Who agrees?
Arpita. I agree, sir.
Arpita. Okay. Will you like to tell something about this?
Although there are not confirmed reports, but when the first outbreak happened, there were a lot of people who were delving deep into how this virus spread. And of course, at that time, the death and the destruction was mostly in other parts of the world, like mostly in the European countries, because they were not taking it seriously. So a lot of journalists were looking at how things moved from one city in China to the rest of the world. And there were unconfirmed reports. Although I think this thing will take time to come out because they have to be substantiated before you let this kind of thing out in the world. But I believe from whatever I've read that it is true.
Okay. So from this, Arpita throws some light on this. And the second point I would like to discuss on the similar line, that is the USA and China, who leads the world. So, I mean, I'm just trying to put the contradictory point to get your views and find out the attitudes which comes up, which we are going to discuss subsequently.
Sir, actually, in the present dispensation, the fight is this only. Because US has been the #1 economy in the world for a long time.
Right.
And China is the only country which has started challenging in serious terms.
Okay.
I mean, prior to this, Japanese were giving a tough fight to the Americans, but they have now fallen back. The Chinese are rising and they are challenging the leadership position of the US.
Sudeep, you can switch on your video as well.
Yeah. So, and obviously US is obviously not liking the scenario. So the whole fight is that only.
Okay.
But having said that, the kind of world order we have nowadays, you can't have one or two countries leading the world across the field. You may be #1 economically, but you cannot lead the world in all the aspects. For example, US might be the most powerful or the richest country, but so far as the GDP per capita income is concerned or the happiness index is concerned, US is nowhere in the sight. So I don't know. I mean, leading means what? Leader could be in different fields. So you have to, come up with the.
Meena is switched on her mic. Meena Karmakar, will you like to tell something on these 2 points? That is, China used COVID-19 virus as biological weapon.
I also feel the same. China used biological weapons. Even the nearby, the main China is actually did that. The reports actually are coming. पीछे का जो newses were coming, which says कि yes, it's a biological weapons which China actually used. Now, if you
Okay.
see after
Actually.
that, every country is facing the bad scenario. मतलब अगर आप GDP देखोगे तो every country's GDP is going down, whereas China is in a up.
Right.
Their lockdown is not happening over there now. So there are
अभी तो
so many.
मास्क भी नहीं लगा रहे हैं ये लोग.
हाँ, मास्क भी नहीं लगा रहे even. So if you see कि there is something is there which
Something
is led by.
fishy is going on.
Correct. Something fishy
Yeah.
is going on. I always feel that COVID is nothing. COVID is actually created by some big entrepreneurs, or you can say, or some countries, or WHO, something you feel like this, because I'm just giving you one or two scenarios why I'm feeling so. Even I have seen in my home only, my brother-in-law wife get diagnosed with the COVID, and they were in the same room, but husband was non-COVID. The same with my another brother-in-law with happened ki child and the wife is COVID positive, and the brother-in-law is negative. I don't know how it comes. एक ही रूम में रह रहे हैं, कहते हैं कि छूने से फैल जाता है, सांस लेने से फैल जाता है. They are staying in the same room. Nothing happened to them. So now third scenario I'm sharing with you is it is in my family also. So
But that must depend upon immunity level also, na?
I don't know. Matlab, this is the scenarios I have seen. I have seen in my case even. First when diagnosed with the COVID, the fever was only for 2 or 3 days. Then I was for quarantine for 14 days. Somehow that बोलते हैं कि COVID leaves something behind, जो later आपको post COVID में लेके जाता है.
You got tested?
हाँ sir, last year August.
Then it came positive.
Yes, it was positive. Then I was on quarantine mode, and the day quarantine mode was last date, my health was deteriorated that day. I was again with high fever and diarrhea from the morning, from the afternoon started with vomiting, loose motions. Now the diarrhea was started till 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. I was not in my so I was totally broke down. So
Okay.
my husband immediately shifted me to the hospital that time. But before 3 days, I just gone as doctor suggested कि अपना test करवा लो, is still COVID is there or not. So 3 दिन पहले का report था in my hand which says कि I am a COVID negative. Then they still admitted to the COVID center only in my nearby nursing home, which they took me. So
With negative.
Still negative, but still they admitted to the COVID facility only.
Right.
COVID bad they have given to me. So then my doctor, after an hour, my doctor called them to the doctors over there. The patient is COVID negative. She is so weak. If she is into the COVID hospital, then definitely isko dobara ho jayega and the scenario will be different. So please immediately move her to the non-COVID bed. So then they shifted me to the non-COVID ICU, because in my the force was my doctor force.
Okay.
So this is, I am not able to understand. I am sitting in the home. I am not going out. But still, I was diagnosed that time COVID positive. Then I gone through. After negative, they are still admitted to the COVID center. What is happening outside? It is actually not clear.
So that is about COVID-19. The next point, just 1 or 2 line if you want to say. USA, China, who leads the world?
Sir, both are fighting for the leading actually.
Both are fighting, or India will lead?
Though both are fighting, US and China is lead. Who becomes the leader?
Do you
But
believe
actually,
in Modi's?
but now the scenario different. The current scenario of India says ki yes.
It's changing.
If ये
Right.
COVID-21 नहीं होता, तो I think Modi will lead.
No problem. Okay. So with all these hope and
इसमें एक चीज
good
और था,
discussion,
scientists
we'll move to the attitude and this values part. There, I think we'll take the opinion from Sudeep as well. Right?
Yeah.
Sudeep, is it okay?
Yeah,
Shall we
fine.
move?
Yeah, sure.
This statement reflecting attitudes. If you read seriously about these lines, you all know, must be knowing about this sports, any sports you talk about. There are very serious discussion which are going on, and this data is basically reflecting those seriousness. The first statement reads, serious athletes devote hours to conditioning, honing skills, perfecting techniques, and practice. So one side it requires hour to conditioning, honing skills, perfecting techniques, and it requires practice. Right?
Yeah.
It's a simple statement from any athlete or in any sports we talk about. It is true that physical training and inherent talent can take an athlete far. If you see one side, we talk about practice. The second statement, what it reads about physical training and inherent talent. I mean, people generally use these two words very in a similar breed, actually, right? So the general question comes: is genius are born or made? I think some of you can give your opinion to basically find out more about attitudes. And
Sir, I'll elaborate by two examples.
Right.
One, the former Australian cricket captain Steve Waugh.
Okay.
He was not an attractive player. He was nowhere born with that much of talent. But by sheer hard work and never say die attitude, he was one of the most successful captains of Australian cricket side.
So you want to say he was self-made?
He was self-made by sheer doggedness, never say die attitude. It is the attitude which separates boys from men. Another example is Vinod Kambli. It was said he was more talented than even Sachin Tendulkar. He was more talented. He was born with so much of talent, but the mental toughness and the attitude was not there. That is why we don't remember him, but we remember Tendulkar, because the kind of practice, the kind of hard work he put in, he was able to overcome whatever shortcomings he had.
Okay.
So, if you really persist, you can become it is only the attitude which makes a man.
So attitude is mainly, from your point of view, it is a persistence.
It is persistent. Never say die. I will not give up.
So you say the genius comes from that?
No, sir. Genius genius is fine. Talent आपको कुछ हद तक help करेगा. But if it is not supported by your attitude, howsoever talented you might be, it will be of no use. The case of Vinod Kambli. He was born with such a talent, but jo attitude was not suitable, so he could not succeed to that extent. जो उसकी capability थी, उसके हिसाब से वो success नहीं पा सका.
Okay, Anant Chaudhary has unmuted. Will you like to tell something?
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir. So I think, as Sudeep sir said very well about that example of Kambli and Sachin Tendulkar. So I see that Sachin was also born with the talent, but as they say, that he would be slogging on the nets, in afternoons while everyone was taking rest, and he had that, that made him different from other people. That even although he had that inherent talent, but still he didn't stop practicing or going to the nets, just relying on his inherent talent. So that's why they say that along with the talent, the training, the practice, that makes you apart, that makes you stand apart from the crowd.
So basically the attitude and values come from practice.
Hard work.
No,
Sir.
they don't come from practice, but the attitude makes you practice. Even when you know that
Attitude makes you
are born.
practice. That's better.
Actually,
And what-
persistent efforts
like,
creates the talent. What I mean.
And what about genius are born or made? Sonakshi, yes, you would like to say?
Sir, like, yes, there might be some people out there who might be having a very high level of IQ or EQ, like they're born with it. Just like exceptional talents might be there, but like all my peers here shared, I guess even as trainers, if we see ourselves, we might also having some unique talent in us. But if we are not putting that into action or putting our efforts or working on it, like the attitude and hard work that everybody is talking about, I don't think even a genius can come out outshining in his knowledge. If Einstein or any of these scientists would have not actually put an effort in putting their knowledge out there, we would have never known that, okay, this thing exists in the world.
So it's all practice, practice, practice.
Or maybe putting an effort, at least taking the first step towards that direction, that, okay, we want to share our knowledge or use it somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%, because Einstein, Newton, they are all not genius, born genius, but
Yeah.
persistent efforts made them genius.
Right.
In other aspect, we can say.
Even I was not born genius.
Yes, sir.
Am I
But
right?
you are genius. But you are genius.
सर जैसे
Don't
आर्म फोर्सेस में कहते हैं ना कि शांति के समय में आप जितना पसीना बहाएंगे, युद्ध के समय उतना कम खून बहेगा.
बिल्कुल सही बात.
हम तो 20 साल पसीना बहा के और वो भी बहा के खून भी बहा के आ गए.
बट पसीना ज्यादा बहा तो खून कम बहा.
आई नो, खून तो बहता ही नहीं है जल्दी फौजी में. Like in Indian Armed Forces, now when I joined Indian Air Force, I mean that time it was famous people die on the road and accidents rather than in war. And I think after 20 years I took a retirement. My mother must be very happy. I mean the guy has come back. My wife was very happy. I mean फौजी से शादी किया था but फिर भी आ गया जिंदा. So it's a basically I mean we think war, but war is not that easy and it doesn't happen naturally. And even the country like India have to basically create that mentality and attitude basically to fight a war. And that is a very tough thing. You all must be seeing, and it's happening so tough.
True.
So right, we'll take it further and think about changing attitude. Because as you all know, we are discussing very tough topic, this attitude and values. And last 5-7 minutes, I think we will touch upon what are the hindrances and what are those attitudes. So main hindrances are like insufficient information. Even attitude change, if you try ever, either in yourself or in your participants or any group of the people, you will find we rely on old information, outdated information. We don't even put efforts to find out the new information. And as even in my book also I mentioned about the two aspects, Godfather and wisdom domain. I mean, we don't create a new information, new wisdom domain actually. So we remain very stuck with the old thing. And most of the people, humanity at large, I think we get stuck. So a lot of organization you will see, even if they have the right kind of thing, but this changing attitude is not sufficient enough to them basically to achieve success. So new organization comes with a different attitude and they achieve success much more than what the old organization can achieve. So even in the old organization, anyone, even in the public sectors in India or even the old companies, you see, they are not ready to change. Except a few of the company like Reliance have changed when the Jio came, and even today when they are producing the oxygen. I think even today the newspaper talked about Reliance become the most producer in the country. I mean, biggest producer of oxygen in the country.
Yeah.
So they are ready to change. They are changing. with the Geo they have seen, and I think 2 days back there was a paper in Reliance earned a profit of 14,000 crores or something. So it's a very huge, and that came because of changing attitude. And changing attitude does not happen because of insufficient information, prior commitment. Most of us are busy with the prior commitment, and we take some commitment. Consistency and balance are just not there. Weak reward mechanism, lack of resources, and resistance to change. This resistance to change also is very, very significant. So you all must individually deal, and then in the organization as a trainer, you must try to deal with these things if you at all want to achieve something better. And as it is said, excellence is not a skill, but it is an attitude. And this attitude cannot be developed very easily and simply. And that takes a lot of time. Right?
True. True.
So factor responsible for attitude. Attitude is composed of 3 components: cognitive component, emotional component, behavioral components. So that is also, these are all basically theoretical, but very important for us as a trainer to understand. These cognitive component, emotional component, and behavioral component, these decides the overall attitude. And if we talk about the type of attitude, generally I think it is found positive attitude, negative attitude, neutral, and seeking attitude. So you can also Google and study more, but I will just list out few of the positive and negative attitude. And when I list these, I try to focus on the current perspective, because as India moves from 20th century to 21st century, and you must be seeing a lot of changes are happening across the world, and even in India it is happening. We must understand our positive attitude and our negative attitude, because as Indian, we are supposed to form the problems, and we are supposed to find our enemies first. Because you see, as a Fauzi, I will always talk in those terms, and unless until we are able to recognize our enemies better, we will not be able to defend things. And that is what we need to do. So even when we talk about the positive attitude or negative attitude, these could be something like these. Sudeep Jaiswal.
Yes, sir.
Your point on one of the positive attitude, like gratefulness. How it helps to achieve things better.
So there are, I mean, any person say, I am what I am because of contribution of many people.
Right.
And unless I am grateful to them, nobody is going to help me improve or get better. If I'm a thankless person, if I'm ungrateful to people who have helped me, nobody will help me in future.
Is it easy to recognize the who has helped you?
One has to be humble to accept that.
How will you recognize somebody has helped you?
By publicly acknowledging, and that comes when I don't have ego of being a high flyer or something great that I have achieved in this world. I have to accept that I was a very small person. I had my own limitations, but because of these people that I have been able to achieve that. So if one has the humility to accept, then gratefulness comes easy. Because whatever we are, first of all, we have to be thankful to God. ईश्वर जो है उसने हमें जो दिया, मेरा कुछ नहीं, nothing is there for me. I am just a निमित्त मात्र. I'm just a tool. So if
Okay.
I have the humility to accept that, acknowledging others will be very, very easy for me.
Right. Can anybody throw some light how to be grateful, how to recognize who has helped us? Rupesh,
Sir, like Jiten here, sir.
Jitender, please go ahead.
Sir,
Boliye.
like in the private era, in the private organization, everybody who has joined is a new joiner. So somebody was there to help us, to give us, to show us the path, how to do our job KPI or KRA. So like either seniors, either trainers, either HRs. So we should be grateful for that they shown us to path to prove us. Either few of the participants in the training program also, they shown to the right things which we don't know actually.
Okay.
Either for everyone who just shown a right path, right things, who teach us, so we should be grateful for everything.
Right.
Either up or down, either down level.
You can switch on your video as well.
Yes, sir.
Rupesh,
Yes, sir, definitely. If we see energy level, we are all one. So if we are happy by any means, we should be grateful. It doesn't matter who has helped me or who has not helped me, but if we are happy by any means, by any, so we have to be grateful for that, because at energy level we are all one. So it doesn't matter who has helped me or who has not helped me. So it's about, I mean, very clearly mentioned in Gita. So I mean, I put it from there only. So we have to be grateful by any means if I feel that I am happy.
right. In negative attitude list, if you see, I have written regionalist.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. So gratefulness is basically every person's give you some learning. चाहे वो आपके लिए positive बोले या negative बोले, you learn something from that person. And thanks for them कि उसने वो आपका area of improvement बताया और you learn something from them. Actually, each and every person give you some learning. It can be in a positive feedback or it can be a negative feedback.
All are
We
learning.
actually has to be thankful to them कि yes, we have learned something from them.
Right. Now we will touch upon this neutral attitude. I mean, there could be so many, but just 4 listed. And many people, if you see, I mean, they possess one of these characteristics, and they become a neutral attitude basically. They either become complacent, they become indifferent, they are detached, or they are disconnected. So do you think this neutral attitude should be avoided or should move towards some positive attitude?
Yes, sir. It's not a purely positive attitude. These are, but it's not a negative also, because detachment and disconnected, it doesn't mean ki person is negative. And I mean, neutral attitude, it comes from mindfulness. If we see, mindfulness is not it's only being in the present. It's called mindfulness. If you are in the present form, present state, so you don't have to worry about future, or you don't have to, I mean, lament about the past. So if you are in present, then
I think
maybe
I think on this topic we need to discuss much more basically, because this, whether we talk about detached or disconnected, as a unlearned guru, I feel they could be the part of your personality or behavior or
Right, sir. Right.
character, but at the same
Yes.
time, you have to be very judicious basically from where to disconnect and where to connect, where to
Yes, yes.
detach and where to attach. So
Attach.
those things becomes very serious. But once you understand these are the kind of attitude you have, then you can take it further. I think this is what I want to convey for the time being to you.
Yeah, this is all about awareness, sir, actually.
Correct.
This is all
correct.
about awareness.
So it's all awareness, and that is the way it will take. And at
Yeah.
the end, we talk about few of the values of life, with which I think most of us, as a trainer, we must make sure our participants acquire these values. Either it is courage or kindness, presence, integrity, appreciation, love, growth, respect, responsibility, wisdom, and spirituality. Right? This must become the integral part of the training program. And then once these are basically imbibed in the participants in some way or other, then we can say we have achieved our target as far as the training process is concerned. Right?
Yes.
This is all about today's, and next time we'll discuss about the training audit. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, please.
The question is, we were discussing in one of our colleagues group about how can we as trainers impart integrity, or is there a way of teaching our people about integrity? You know, how can it that, because that's also a value and that is also a life skill, as if somebody wants want to put it like that. But how can that be inculcated, or is there a way that we can design something to
You see, the
impart
simple,
integrity?
yeah, very simple. Integrity is very important for any individual at any level, from my point of view. But this integrity, seriousness of this integrity, the word integrity, keeps increasing as we grow big. Because suppose we are at the top of the ladder, our integrity must be very, very sound with all the stakeholders. And when we talk about integrity, integrity
Yes, sir.
should be what we speak and what we do and what we think. There should be a sync between these two, three aspects of life. And then it performs, it gives you a balanced personality. Are you getting, Arpita? Integrity means what you think, what you do, and what you speak. All these three should be sync. Okay? And
Yes.
that we must keep
Yes.
trying on a day-to-day basis to achieve it. Because most of the time, what happens, we talk something, we do something, and then we think something. And this is quite famous in today's knowledge world. But after some time, these lack of integrity in our thought becomes the biggest obstacle in our growth. Getting?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right. So with this, I think I finished this paper 7. Okay. And
Okay, sir. Thank you.
no question, and please try to finish your assignments before next class, and so that we can discuss, and then you wait for the last class starting at 4 o'clock, paper 8.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
you so much, sir.
Bye bye. See you. Good day.